Ben Shephard's emotional goodbye script. Here's your fully written script. There are moments in live television that nobody plans for. Moments where the auto cue becomes irrelevant, the studio lights feel suddenly too bright, and everyone watching, whether from their sofa at home or from behind the cameras, holds their breath at exactly the same time. What unfolded on Good Morning Britain recently was one of those moments. And if you've ever wondered what it truly looks like when a broadcaster who has given years of his life to a program finally says goodbye in real time, this is that story. Ben Shephard has been one of the most recognizable faces in British daytime television for well over a decade. His presence on Good Morning Britain was never loud or chaotic. It was steady, warm, and reliable in the way that only the best broadcasters manage to be. He had a gift for making difficult conversations feel approachable and light-hearted segments feel genuinely joyful. That balance is rarer than it sounds. So when the moment of his departure arrived on screen, it carried a weight that no one in that studio seemed entirely prepared for, including, by all appearances, Ben himself. Good Morning Britain has long occupied a complicated but undeniably significant place in the landscape of British television. Broadcast live every weekday morning on ITV, the show has weathered controversies, presenter shakeups, viral moments, and ratings battles that would have sunk lesser programs. It is the kind of show that people have strong feelings about, either fiercely loyal to it or actively opposed to it, and that passionate response is itself a testament to how deeply embedded it has become in the national conversation. When something significant happens within that studio, Britain notices. Ben joined the wider ITV family years before Good Morning Britain even existed in its current form. He came up through the ranks of entertainment presenting, building a reputation for versatility and professionalism that saw him move between game shows, sports coverage, and morning television with apparent ease. But it was the morning show format where he truly found his footing as a serious broadcaster, someone who could handle breaking news 1 minute and share a laugh with a celebrity guest the next without either moment feeling forced or out of place. His co-presenting relationships over the years became part of what viewers tuned in for. The chemistry between morning show hosts matters in a way that is difficult to quantify but immediately obvious when it is missing. Ben had that chemistry in abundance, with Kate Garraway, with Susanna Reid, and with various others who rotated through the ITV sofa over the years. Those on-screen friendships weren't performance. They were built over early morning coffees, long editorial meetings, and years of navigating live television together, which is precisely why his goodbye hit so differently. The moment itself unfolded with the kind of quiet devastation that only genuine emotion can produce. There was no grand announcement, no carefully choreographed tribute package playing out to a sweeping soundtrack. Instead, what viewers witnessed was something far more human, a man who loves his job, loves the people he works with, and found himself in the middle of a live broadcast having to say farewell, in real time. The studio, usually buzzing with the particular energy that comes with live morning television, seemed to momentarily pause around him. His colleagues were visibly affected. Those who have spent years sitting beside him on that sofa, who have shared breaking news bulletins and ridiculous fancy dress segments and everything in between, were not pretending to be emotional. This was the genuine article. The kind of goodbye that reminds you, regardless of how polished and professional a television program appears, that the people making it are exactly that, people with real relationships and real feelings that don't disappear simply because a camera is pointing at them. Viewers watching at home responded immediately. The conversation that followed online wasn't the usual chatter about morning television controversies or editorial disagreements. It was something quieter and more personal, messages from people who had watched Ben for years, who had turned on ITV first thing in the morning, and found his presence a reliable comfort during difficult periods of their own lives. There is something uniquely intimate about morning television. It enters people's homes at a vulnerable hour, before the day has fully begun, and the presenters who do it well become something close to a daily companion for their audiences. Ben had clearly been that for a great many people. The tributes from within the industry were equally telling. Colleagues, former co-hosts, and broadcasting figures took time to acknowledge what his departure meant, not just for Good Morning Britain specifically, but for British daytime television more broadly. That level of response doesn't happen for everyone. It reflects a career built on genuine respect and consistent quality, the kind that accumulates quietly over years rather than arriving in a single viral moment. For ITV, the question of what comes next is both practical and significant. Good Morning Britain has faced its share of transitions over the years, some handled more smoothly than others. Presenter changes on flagship live programs are always a delicate operation. Audiences form attachments to the faces they see every morning, and those attachments take time to build and equally take time to adjust when they change. The show has demonstrated resilience through previous shifts, but each departure of someone with Ben's profile requires a careful rethinking of the dynamics that have made certain presenting combinations work. What is particularly striking about this situation is the timing and manner of it all. Morning television goodbyes are rarely neat. The format doesn't really allow for them. There are segments to move through, guests to introduce, news headlines to deliver. The fact that this farewell managed to cut through all of that structural busyness and land with such emotional clarity says something about both the man involved and the show itself. Good Morning Britain, for all its occasional controversy and political sparring, remains capable of producing moments of genuine human connection. That is not nothing. Ben himself has spoken in the past about what morning television means to him, the privilege of being invited into people's homes at that hour, the responsibility that comes with it, and the deep affection he holds for the teams that make it possible. Those sentiments don't read as scripted when you look at the way he carried himself through his final moments on the program. The farewell was not polished. It was real. And in television, real is increasingly rare and therefore increasingly valuable. Looking ahead, speculation within broadcasting circles, and it is worth being clear that this remains speculation, suggests that Ben's considerable talent will not be absent from British screens for long. A broadcaster of his caliber and experience, with established audience trust and genuine cross-genre versatility, is not someone the television industry allows to disappear quietly. Whatever comes next for him, the foundation he has built across years of morning television gives him a platform that very few people in his position could claim. For Good Morning Britain, the path forward involves, as it always does after moments like this, finding a new rhythm. The show has survived bigger storms and emerged, if not unscathed, then certainly intact and still broadcasting. Its audience is loyal because beneath the noise and the occasional controversy, it delivers something that morning television at its best always should, a sense of presence, of company, of someone meeting you at the start of your day and helping you face what comes next. Shephard did that reliably and warmly for longer than many of his peers managed. That legacy doesn't leave the studio just because he has. What this moment really underlines is how much the human element of live television still matters, perhaps now more than ever, in a media landscape increasingly crowded with content that is designed rather than felt. A real goodbye with real tears and real silence in a real studio cuts through everything else precisely because it cannot be produced or manufactured. It simply happens. And when it does, audiences feel it. That is ultimately what Shephard's farewell from Good Morning Britain leaves behind. Not a controversy to be debated or a ratings shift to be analyzed, but a genuinely felt moment that reminded everyone watching why they still turn on their television sets first thing in the morning in the first place. If this story moved you the way it moved so many who watched it unfold live, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Whether you watched Ben for years or are only just discovering what made him such a fixture of British mornings, this is exactly the kind of conversation worth having. Like the video if you appreciate honest storytelling about the television that shapes our daily lives, and subscribe for more in-depth coverage of the shows, presenters, and moments that define UK broadcasting. We'll be back with more very soon.